Yeah.
But
But yeah, no, transfers have been I've been hitting the door all weekend. Another big one is Harry Kane.
fuck
Um,
yeah, huge.
Obviously, I think it was inevitable at some point he was going to leave. And there's a lot of people out there saying, "Oh, why is he taking a move away from the Premier League? He should have stayed in the Premier League." There is no other club in the Premier League that's going to win the magnitude of trophies that Harry Kane wants and needs for his career. That
Mm,
needs a striker at the minute. Man City, they've got Haaland. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I
I
mean,
think that.
so the only move
Mm,
for him is abroad. So Bayern Munich, they're going to win. They're going to win the Bundesliga near enough every season. They're going to
yeah,
challenge for the Champions League most seasons. It's the place for him to go to win trophies.
I agree and I disagree. I think United missed a trick, but then I always think Levy just didn't want to sell to his rivals, and I think that was the main thing. I think Man U wanted him, and it would have been 100 million, but Levy was like, "No, if you, I don't want to sell to rivals," which is completely fair enough.
Mm.
Levy's done really well throughout the whole thing to stick to his like demand and to follow that strictly and to get the money that he feels he deserves for the player because he's what 30 years old, a year left in his contract, 100 million. He's done really well, and he's a bit I wouldn't say injury prone, but he's often out for a month or so, give most years, give or take, isn't he? So someone who's probably got maybe 4 years left, maybe five. Um, I think he's done really well with that, and I think he'd have been stupid to sell to United. I'm glad he didn't because he'd have just done. He'd have probably taken him to, I'd say, the Premier League, in my opinion, Man United. Um, so I think it's a good move for him, but I think he can't win whatever he does because he's going to go over there. He'll win a couple of Bundesliga, let's say. But that's not going to cement his legacy as
But the fact is,
like
he can win those trophies. It may be a Champions League with Bayern, maybe
yeah.
something like
I
that,
think that's
and
what
then
he
maybe
needs
head back to
more.
England and then carry on his legacy over here.
Yeah,
Because there's nothing stopping him from doing that. You know, maybe a little return home to Spurs after winning a few trophies. Who knows?
yeah.
Um,
That's chasing the record. I think what's he off like? How many goals is he off? Like 40 or something, 50 maybe.
Something
Something
two
like
seasons
yeah,
worth in the Premier
couple of
League is
seasons,
for
isn't it?
him.
Yeah,
Two
and I
good
think
seasons.
I think he's looking at that going like records there meant to be broken.
Yeah,
So basically, if Haaland, let's say, decides to stay at Man City his whole career, that record's getting smashed. That very clearly that's getting broken within a
mm.
couple of seasons, or not a couple of seasons, but in his career it's getting done. So if Harry Kane put all his eggs in the basket of wanting to become that record holder like Shearer is, obviously Shearer won a couple of titles as well, I believe, and stuff. But how everyone looks at Shearer is he's only in the all-time Premier 11 now because of his record. People would probably put other strikers ahead of him, maybe even Kane's in that debate with the likes of Henry and Aguero. Shearer's only there because he's got the most goals. People feel like, oh, you've got to put him there. He's got the most goals. He should be in that team.
And
So
he never won the Premier League, I believe, as well. So
I
oh
think
yeah,
he, I
no, he
think
did.
he,
We did with
Blackburn,
Blackburn. With
yeah,
Blackburn, yeah.
yeah,
But
and I
apart from
think
that, never
Kane
really won
thinks
many.
that, yeah,
Yeah, never really won many accolades. Neither has Harry
exactly,
Kane. Um,
exactly. So
so
Kane would
again,
just be in that team because of the stats. He wants to be in the team because he's got stats and the trophy. I think he wants it all.
however,
So
I mean, it's a personal accolade getting sort of like in that sort of team of the centuries, best team the Premier League has ever seen. So if he's getting in
yeah,
those teams because of his personal accolades, is there an issue for him? No, absolutely not. But the fact is,
yeah,
is he ever going to achieve those accolades in the Premier League? Maybe, maybe not. We'll never know.
it's hard to say
Till
with
see
teams like Man
yeah.
City, and I think I think a
It
Champions
depends.
League would really do well for him. I think league titles will be like, yeah, that's cool. But I think like they've won it what 11, 12 years in a row, so
It's that
I
winner's
expect it.
instinct he needs, sort of like that trophy winning instinct that he
I think
needs
he just
to
needs
get.
one, and then I think they'll come like London buses for him over there. And
You know,
I think Champions, as I said, if he goes over there and carries him to Champions League, fair play, he's done well. Like he'll be up there for whatever stats he gets. Ballon d'Or, you never know. Who knows what sort of numbers he could be getting.
exactly.
And that will definitely cement some sort of legacy up there with like the best strikers of all time, as in your Suarez's and Benzema's and all them, Lewandowski. He'll be up there, not like behind them, but he'll be.
I'm pretty sure he's up there already. I think it'd be silly if we say he's not up there just because he hasn't won many trophies with Spurs. I think the memories he's brought Spurs fans, the goals he's scored, you know, he's taken
Yeah.
them to a Champions League final, and that Spurs side, it wasn't fantastic, was it? And they still managed to get to a Champions League final.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just think if he wants to be like seriously in the debate, as in like you could sit there and go, "Nah, Kane is the best." I think he needs a
I
couple of
think
trophies for
needs a
sure.
couple of trophies,
Because
definitely.
these are all players that have Champions League, have some
Mm.
like various golden, how many golden boots? They both obviously, so does Kane, but just the longevity of some of the players, as well as Kane, they've all got shared like sort of qualities. It's just as I said, trophies. Then that's when trophies come in to separate them.
Yeah.
Because if they got similar goals and assists, then you go, okay, well, who's won the most X, Y, Z? So I think that's what he needs in my
I
opinion.
think, but I do think the big question about this Harry Kane deal is how are Spurs going to cope going forward? Because it's very, very late in the window. Yes, they've been given 100 million for him. A lot of money to spend in this. Well, this is a lot of money to spend this day and age. I'm pretty sure they can get a. You can buy a good replacement for
Yeah,
Harry Kane,
yeah.
but
Strikers are hard, yeah.
this late in the window, when clubs
Mm,
know that Spurs have 100 million to spend.
yeah. They're desperate. They're in a similar position to how
They're
we were, just obviously a lot worse because they need a goal scorer. Um,
and I
I
don't
think
know.
Richarlison's a decent player, but and
He's
Son's
not
good
this.
and Kulusevski, but no one's going to get them 25 plus Prem goals. So
Yeah,
they all
no.
need to
Yeah,
share. They all need to
Kane,
share and get about 12 to 18 each for it to work, in my opinion.
um,
That's what I
but
think.
they need a striker. Full stop. And I don't see. I don't know who out there in the world they could get. Victor Osimhen, maybe.
Nah, they want 150, 60 million for him, and he wouldn't drop down after just winning the title and stuff. I think Evan
But a prem,
Ferguson for me is a realistic target.
I think Evan Ferguson's maybe got a couple, one or two more seasons at Brighton before he does
That's what I'm saying. That
figure out
I think
moving.
they'll give Richarlison a chance this season, and I think they brought in a
Yeah,
young Argentinian lad. I can't think of his name. And if Richarlison doesn't work, they'll go because Richarlison was 60 million. He got one goal last season, so there's a lot of I think with Tottenham, in my opinion, there's a lot of pressure on the players to step up, but on the team as a whole, no one's got any expectation now. I think they've got a bit of a get out of jail free card because they scored 70 goals last season and 30 of them were Kane. That's ridiculous, nearly half. So if you're taking out them goals, no one's expecting them to finish top four, top six even. So
mm.
if they whatever they do, they've done like people go, they've done that without Kane. That's fair enough. Like you haven't got Kane.
Yeah,
You haven't got Kane. That's what everyone's gonna say. And when they lose a game, they've missed a couple of chances. They'll go, oh, if they'd have had Kane, they'd have won the game. So I think they've got a chance this year just to show Son needs to step up especially now as captain as well. I think it's a big move for Maddison, and I think he'll have a great season. He looked very good the other day. It's just mainly Richarlison is my concern because he's very inconsistent. The Richarlison we saw at Everton was a good striker, but the one we saw last season at Spurs was useless. So
yeah. We'll see what happens with Richarlison. I mean, he does deserve his chance. Like you say, he's got that 50, 60 million price tag hanging over his head still from
yeah,
last season. Had an absolute stinker, but was playing second fiddle to
yeah,
arguably one of the best strikers in the Premier League has ever seen in Harry Kane.
had a very good World Cup too. Don't forget that.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Didn't
Richarlison
do
was
too
quality in the
badly.
World Cup.
So yeah, no, I think given a run of games and a chance to get into form, I think Richarlison could do well. We've seen it happen at Everton where he has been a very, very good player. We know he's got that quality in him, bit of an enigma of a player, you know what I mean? He's a bit of a you don't really know what to expect with Richarlison. Yeah, one
Yeah,
minute he'll be
yeah.
sound as anything, and the next minute he's doing keepy ups and taking his shirt off in the first, second minute
It's
of the
his
game.
attitude. I think he just really needs to knuckle down. Like he's got the number 9 shirt. Obviously, he had that anyway, but he needs to look at that and go, "I've got one season here to prove myself."
Mm.
Because if not, I think
He's got to
they're
understand
going to buy someone.
he's got to understand the responsibility that comes with it, and
Yeah,
yeah, I think
because
that's
the
a
new man.
struggle
Yeah,
for him. Yeah,
I think the new
um,
manager looks good, and I think he's just told him, "You got one season to prove yourself." Sort of, if you don't, because he can play on all the wings and stuff. And I think Son's only got a couple of years there left in him. I think I can see him moving abroad. So I think, as I said, it's a massive season for Richarlison more than anyone. I think.
yeah, definitely. I think it'd be interesting to see what Spurs do and how they go about replacing Kane, especially in the next couple of years, and what they do for the rest of this season. But excited to see what happens there.